Alright, hey everyone, I'm Justin Diamond, and today let's read chapter 21 of my book, Giant Special Tokyo Love. I was flying to do the daily quest by Icecrown Citadel, just over the boneyards. One of them has you killing skeletons. I like to kill the skeletons last. A little undead massacre on the return flight, but somewhere in RL I'd gotten a phone call. It would probably only take a couple of minutes, and the flight to the Citadel was a couple of minutes. I turned the volume down on my computer and took the call. "Hello? Yeah? What's up?" I asked, after listening. "Sure, man. Same place as always," I said into the phone, making plans for when we would meet up in Ikebukuro later. "All right, see you there." The boneyards are filled with undead. Mostly reanimated skeletons. Many of them are lone stragglers, but every once in a while you'll find a necromancer with a small army of them, marching around, back and forth, like only predetermined computer pathing can do. The daily quest in the boneyards was to kill 15 of the reanimated skeletons. Usually, it's not such a big deal to kill them. You fly down and pick off the lone skeletons one by one. Easy peasy. Down below, I saw a noob trying to take on one of the necromancers, along with his small skeleton army. Do that, and they'll kill you. The whole trick of the daily quest is avoiding the armies. Judging by his health bar, he would be dead in half a moment. I guess I was feeling like a nice guy. It would have been far easier to simply be on my way and get my own daily quest finished. Instead, I swooped down to save him. Too late, they killed him. I waited for them to march on before landing next to his fallen body and cast rejuvenation to bring him back to life. I may be selfish in RL, but I'm pretty generous in WoW. A moment later, in a flash of magic, he was back. I even cast Mark of the Wild on him for good measure, along with a few of my healing spells. Sure, they were weak healing spells. I was a tank, not a healer. But every bit helps, and I was doing it more for the gesture than the actual healing done. At that point, I would have turned into a bird and flown off an instant later, but it wasn't until then that I took the time to read his name, floating above his head. Konehito. How could I have missed it? Of all the clues were there, the cloth armor of a priest, the slow actions of a noob, the fact that he wasn't fast enough to even type a TY to me. Molokai. Fancy seeing you here. Konehito. Seep. Molokai. You doing the daily quest, I guess? Konehito. Sip. Molokai. What the fuck does sip mean? Konehito. Meaning is yes. Molokai. On what server you're funny? You're funny, little rabbit, you know that? Konehito. Oh. Hablas español también? At this point, I was extremely tempted to type sip as my response, but I figured why not use some of the Spanish I learned growing up in Miami. I was tired of speaking Japanese in RL anyway. Molokai. See. Then Konehito responded with a long string of Spanish that I found almost as indecipherable as the Japanese that natives have been spitting at me for the past few years. Among it was a phrase that sounded oddly familiar, but which I couldn't quite remember the meaning. ¿Cuál es tu lengua idioma? Molokai. English, please? Konehito. What is your mother tongue? It was obvious enough by then, but I went ahead and typed English to make it clear. Then I decided to drop a real bomb. Molokai. ASL. Age, sex, location. It was a personal question, sure, but Konehito was a curiosity for me. First off, running into the same person twice in the World of Warcraft was unprecedented for me. But add to that a Spanish speaker, it was an incredible stroke of luck. Oh sure, if I had still been playing on my old server on Mag Therodon, which was mostly filled with American East Coast players, Spanish references would have been a dime a dozen. Hell, I'd seen Spanish guilds. They even had Spanish servers. But seeing the reference on Saurfang, the Oceanic server, which was for Australians, that was rare indeed. I'd never seen another Spanish speaker on Saurfang before. Since Spanish wasn't big in Australia, I had to guess that this guy was an American. He had military written all over him. One of these soldiers who brought a laptop with him, maybe to Camp Zama, and was playing only miles away on the same fiber optic network I was on. But I also knew that many people don't like to give away their personal information like ASL, especially if they're not the first ones to put themselves out there. So I went ahead and typed my own information first. Molokai, 27 M, Saitama. Imagine my surprise when this guy totally lied to me. Konohito, 38 F, Saitama. Now, of course, my first reaction was bullshit. He must have been copying me. No way this guy was actually in Saitama like I was. And even if he was claiming to be a woman. Women are already rare as legendary items in WoW. Real, flesh and blood women are always fawned over, constantly, by the predominantly male player base. But a woman in Saitama, it was almost too good to be true, and we all know that if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. I have a long-standing rule. All gamers on the internet are considered to be male unless proven female in a video chat session. No matter what kinds of pictures they send, even if they do a simple voice call, all of that can be faked for fun and profit. Only a video chat could be proof of femininity. I mean, why would a man pretend to be a woman? Lots of reasons. Certainly there are a few sickos who get off on it, but most of the time they do it for profit. Nobody wants to help another dick out, but if you're a woman, you get a whole lot more kindness thrown your way, a whole lot more favors done. If I believed this Konohito guy was a woman, despite how his name implied masculinity in Spanish, then it was only a matter of time before he would start asking me for favors. I could see it all play out in my mind's eye. Once he found out that I was an alchemist, he'd ask for a free transmutation. If he learned that I had a warlock who was a tailor, he'd be asking me for a free craft of spell thread. And I had WoW characters of every profession. Judging by what a noob he was, he would probably start asking me all kinds of simple yet annoying questions. Questions he could easily look up on the internet himself, but was too lazy to do and would prefer to have a knowledgeable person like me type the answers to him. Where was the priest trainer in Stormwind? What enchant is better for gloves, haste or critical strike? Which talent specialization was better for PvP? I wanted none of it. I'd gotten so wrapped up in this guy's obvious attempt to defraud me at some point in the near future that I completely missed the necromancer with his army of skeletons which had marched back our way and decided to try and kill us. They were running at full speed towards Konohito, and for a moment I had a mind simply to turn back into a bird and fly up and away. Let Konohito deal with it on his own. But I couldn't do that. Not after I'd rezzed him, healed him, and cast Mark of the Wild on him. In for a copper, in for a gold. But also, if Konohito had even half a brain, he would know that we were really the ultimate combination of players. Me, a tank, and him, a healer, was the ideal setup for a quest like this. I could fight all of the skeletons without dying, because he could cast healing spells on me and keep me alive. Actually, I wasn't powerful enough to kill the skeletons without a healer, but, actually, I was powerful enough to kill the skeletons without a healer, but it never hurt to have one with you. I turned into a bear, let out a mighty roar, and charged into the melee. With my thick hide and sharp claws, I started bashing the skeletons apart like they were level 60 whelps. Swiping like a madman, I managed to make quick work of them. When I saw the necromancer begin casting a spell, I charged over to him and disrupted the cast. All while I was thinking that any time now, Konehito could cast a healing spell on me. Not because I needed it, but just because she was a healer and it would have been a nice gesture. But no. A minute later, when the counter on my screen had maxed out at 10 of 10 skeleton kills, and we had added another pile of bones to the yard, Konehito had neither cast a healing spell on me, nor helped to kill the skeletons. Molokai. How's that? Konehito. Sip, thank you. For some reason, I added him to my friends list before flying off and doing the rest of my daily quests. Alone. Thanks everyone for listening. I'll see you next time.